Come on, gaming when you're 40. What do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But
well, how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you can study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
Okay. All right. Oh, it looks okay. Yes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian. I am not confused about my gender. I have to remind everybody every time I start a stream. This is Vivian James. She is the face of Gamergate. She is the daughter of Gamergate. That's all it is. Okay. It's not a thing about me, but unfortunately I was born in a man's body. And I can't change that. So I have a very special bonus stream for you guys today. I am joined by John, the problematic white guy, who I don't know if his audio is still not working. We don't usually talk on Discord when we do our shows. We usually use Video Ninja, which if you've never used it before, you should. It's very, very cool. And I am joined by AirplayDoc, who is the brilliant gentleman behind his documentary for Gamergate, or it's specifically around the AirPlay sort of panel discussions, and Mentiswave, who I've been wanting to talk to for a long time. I've been watching your content for probably about a year, and I like that you're one of the people who seems to hold the same values that I hold. You have strong libertarian streak, big giant nerd, and I like that. So
I mean, I guess that's I'll take it as both a compliment and an insult in some ways, but sure. Yeah.
no, I mean I am too, but yeah, I mean I think that one of the things that I thought was really interesting about your content was I have been involved in Gamergate since it started 10 years ago. Actually, I was talking about a kind of cultural infiltration before Gamergate started, because it was an experience I had when I was in college that started making me think that there was something wrong with our culture, because it wasn't organic. It was feeling more and more engineered, curated, and manufactured towards a certain set of ideas. And this for me was a big deal. I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, basically jumping right into Curtis Yarvin's cathedral idea.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Right, and that's what I saw, but I didn't know how to describe it, how to put it into words. So, but I was eyeballing this for a while, and even today, with people that I work with, I have to kind of try to help them understand that a lot of the art that we see is fake. Fake as in it's not something that people organically are drawn to. It's something that's being propped up, and we're being told this is what you have to like. This is the new normal. This is what you're supposed to love now. And it's well, okay, I can't necessarily take a political position on that, but I certainly have a gut feeling something about that is really, really wrong. So anyway, welcome to the show, Mentis. Sorry to throw this at you right away, but this is the kind of stuff I talk about with John, so.
No, that's all fine. In fact, I kind of expected this to happen, that it would be that kind of a discussion. And it is an important thing, because, I mean, a lot of the core behind it, and one of the reasons I actually started my own channel is because a lot of people don't really understand what is causing it and how it actually goes. And you're basically right. It goes way, way before Gamergate, actually. I mean, you could even argue it started with the Federal Reserve over 100 years ago. But at the very least, it started about over 60 years ago.
Yeah, I think I've been thinking that it may have started with the Enlightenment. So I'm going way before that, or at least the French Revolution. But I'll take the Federal Reserve. I'm willing to start there. I think that's the most reasonable place to start. So let me ask you this. What got you into this kind of Hoppian libertarian stuff? Like, was it Gamergate? Like, is that like a part of your story or what?
Oh no, it wasn't Gamergate at all. In fact, Gamergate is honestly, I kind of have to talk about Gamergate just a little bit here first to really explain this. Gamergate is kind of the red pill for the generation below mine. See, I'm actually a little bit older than most people realize. I'm 37, so. And
but
Gamergate,
you're millennial, right? That's millennial, isn't it?
Yeah, slightly older millennial. I'm born in the mid 80s, pretty much. And see, for me, most people, a lot of times, Gamergate is just their first red pill. For people who are slightly younger, if you're born in the 90s or if you're a Zoomer or something, then Gamergate might have been your first red pill when you were 15 years old or something. It might have been your first look at, oh, hey, look at all this institutional power that the left has. They just mysteriously possess, and they're able to use it to a point where they can just push bogus narratives. They can just say lies and then circulate the lies amongst each other until those lies are then canonized as true. That was just kind of Babby's first red pill for that generation. For me, I kind of saw it around the time of the early internet, and I really saw it around the time of Julian Assange and just the entire media just saying, oh, Assange bad because he showed that the US military is committing war crimes. And you're just like, what? What?
Yeah.
And if you were around the internet at that time, because I've been pretty much on the internet since 1995, and so it was very easy back then to really kind of already look up stuff and see what's going on. And what was interesting is back then is that the normies were confused. The normies were still very much not online at that time. And so if you were plugged in to the internet and you were able to actually go through all these things, you were able to see this stuff that nobody else was seeing, and you could just see the stark contrast between what the data actually says and what journalists are saying about the data. And you would realize, to just an insane degree, just how much journalists are lying about everything. And it's been going on for much, much longer than just Gamergate.
Yes.
And what got me into, I guess what you could say got me into the whole Austrian school theory, or Mises Caucus and Mises Institute, or Hoppianism, Rothbardism, however you want to spin it, because they have different theories, but they all kind of converge into the Austrian school theory. What got me into that was just reading. I wanted to read who actually had good ideas, and it kind of started, honestly, for me in high school when I realized that the far left is completely insane.
Check.
That's kind of where I started looking into more theory and figuring out what can actually stop these people, because my interactions first with sort of the social justice warrior types back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was already started realizing that these people were a little bit nutty. A lot of their theory didn't actually make any sense. And so I started looking for theory that more agreed with my own philosophical takes. I kind of figured out a lot of the stuff that Hoppe figured out before I even read Hoppe. Yeah, before I even read Hoppe, I had basically already figured out a lot of the stuff, and that's why I call myself a Hoppian. It is simply because I figured out a lot of the same theory, and realizing the main problem is that we just kind of have a society that just likes conflict.
We live in a society?
Yeah, we live in a society, and the society likes conflict. And the libertarian right seems to be the only people who understand on a philosophical and deep theory level that no, we need a theory that is about avoiding conflict, not causing conflict, not this idea that the culture of Gamergate, going back into that, a lot of the SJW mentality is based on this theory that humanity is somehow collectively guilty for not offending anybody. And it's kind of insane. This is what's beyond this, the core of this is this idea that you somehow collectively own other people's opinions. And it just kind of spirals out of control from there. because that's not really what property rights are. You don't own somebody else's conscious thinking. It just doesn't work. It doesn't actually make sense. You end up with these tons of weird contradictions, like, okay, if I own your consciousness, does that mean I get to control your thoughts? Does that mean that you're now justified in violence against someone based on what they're thinking? And you get on these really weird ideas. And plus, of course, the craziest part about it is you have to remember that we don't even have a way to read people's minds. So now you get people just making unfalsifiable thought crime accusations against people and going after people based on that. And it just gets completely crazy from there.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Problematic, I heard you testing the mic. Are you there? Can you try again?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I can hear you.
Yeah, welcome. So, go ahead, man. Yeah, you know what? The thing about Discord is that kind of sucks is that when people talk over each other, it tries to like dip the audio of the other person. So we should wait until there's silence before we jump in. I mean, just so that it doesn't like make this unlistenable for the people watching. But yeah, just say hello to the people, Problematic White Guy.
Hola, ¿cómo está? Hail all, and I'm glad to be here.
All right. Uhuru. Should bring that back. AirplayDoc, how are you doing, man? Tell us, what do you got going on? Why did you share your screen? What is this?
Doing okay. I've been trying to promote my documentary on Gamergate, which, if you want to share the screen, I'm currently fundraising because even though the film is done, there's still a lot of legal expenses associated with it and other expenses concerned with distribution and promotion to get this film in front of faces. So, I'm currently holding a GoFundMe, which has a set goal, and I have a Patreon, Metalhead Films, where you can see the film and watch the film and watch various interviews that I've done to promote the film and whatnot.
I see my video is there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is right here.
There it is, right there. That's great. There's somebody in here named Jacob. Are you? Did somebody let this person in? Jacob, I'm gonna have to kick you because I don't know who you are and I don't know how you got in here. And it was probably an accident, and it's all good. But
it's all right. I was just looking to spectate, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I am live streaming. You can just go to the link, and watch it live. But for now, just so that we don't have too many people talking in here, I'm gonna kick you if that's cool.
Right.
So, all right.
Big fan, Mentiswave. Have a good day.
Yep. All right.
Bye.
All right. Cool. Well, I didn't even have to do it. That's good because I don't know how. So, anyways, so yeah, what's up, John? What's up?
I was just laughing.
Oh, okay. All right. So, apparently today is a special day for Gamergate for a couple reasons. I did not know that it was actually the anniversary of the Zoe post. I mean, it's just weird providence, like, synchronicity, whatever you want to call it. And I guess there's something going on. I haven't really been following. Does anybody know? There's a few things. I have this video. There's been a few things, a few happenings, and I thought maybe I'd get your thoughts on them. But there was a guy named, what is his name? Nade Shot. And he's been talking about how gamers are trying to destroy gaming and that they're happy that it's burning and collapsing. Do you know what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've watched videos today, so.
I have not heard of this person, but it sounds like an interesting take.
Yeah.
I mean, gamers just decide which games they buy. That's all it is. It's just the market. I mean, whatever games gamers want to buy, that's what games should be being made. That's kind of a callous and simplified way of saying it, but that's just kind of how it goes. I mean, a lot of the problems we're seeing with gaming is that we have just a lot of weirdos in charge of gaming studios who are getting a lot of outside funding and making games that nobody actually really wants, or at least not people who care about games for the gameplay want.
Yes. I'm getting a little bit of echo. Problematic. I'm getting echo on your end. Do you mind maybe putting on headphones or lowering or muting when you're not talking?
Yeah, let me see what I.
Yeah, sure. That's cool. Well, actually, I want to share this, but AirPlay, do you? I see that you still have something up here. What do you have? Some happening? Some news? What's this second win thing?
Yes, just the other night, I forget his first name, Frost. He goes by the other Frost now, and who used to be employed with Second Wind, and has since left the, I guess, gaming collective over what he over disagreements with founder Nick Calandra, and he just, I believe it was just the other night, released this video detailing his reasons for his problems with Nick and why he believes he shouldn't work in games media. And it's rather lengthy, has a lot of screen caps proving his points, and brings up a lot of evidence, and it really shows how much of the problems which resulted in Gamergate are still relevant today.
Oh yeah. The problem, because obviously the problems that Gamergate had in the beginning are not actually, they're not really about games. I mean, this is just like a small facet of a much larger problem, and it's essentially like, I guess the simplest way I could put it is people who want to be left alone against people who can't leave anybody alone. I don't know how else to put it, because it's just people who feel the need to manage other people. Mentiswave said, this whole thing about like what people do with their own money is such a simple concept that people just can't stand exists. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that and Gamergate was just a symptom of a much, much larger problem of what
exactly.
you call, it's a symptom of institutional power in the wrong people's hands, pretty much. And really, it's a symptom of the state having that power rather than it should be decentralized and based on voluntary interactions, as opposed to what we have now, which is just effectively a ministry of propaganda. And it doesn't work. The only reason that I think people tend to blame Gamergate for what we're seeing right now is just that gamers tend to live in their own world. They don't really consume propaganda as much. We don't really care about what the mainstream media is saying. And in that way, it kind of makes the type of gamer who really plays games for gameplay, as in the kind of get good mentality, it makes it actually somewhat harder to pull the wool over their eyes compared to other forms of media it influences, such as, say, people who just kind of watch TV all day were already getting exposed to mainstream media brainwashing, whereas gamers were not. Gamers, especially in the 90s, were just kind of living in a very bro culture sort of bubble that was away from all of that. And so to that degree, Gamergate, when it was really coming out, when the institution of power was really bringing the hammer down on games as a media, it ended up seeming like a cliff compared to other media. Other media takeover was much slower, like the sort of far left takeover of Hollywood took place over many, many, many decades, whereas Gamergate, it just seemed to all of a sudden happen in the span of 5 years.
Yeah. Could it also not be something about the nature of games themselves? Because there is something different about the media of games versus the media of music or film or television that is especially attractive to people who are more likely to have a bit of a, independent mind where they want to, because gaming is interactive and you get to like forge your own path,
Right, rather than being told what you're supposed to be thinking about in these ways, especially since again, going back to older games, retro games oftentimes had a very bare bones story, and that was intentional. It was for you to kind of decide what the story was going to be. It kind of had this sort of soft storytelling. But a really good example of this would actually be the arcade games back then, like fighting games. A lot of fighting game characters had this sort of backstory that made it seem like there was a story to the game when there really wasn't. And instead, it was just sort of the player playing a character and deciding what they want that character to be.
Yeah, it was kind of like more of a premise just to get you putting quarters in the machine. But like as games got bigger and more complicated and more in depth, then people wanted to add more narrative elements. And I think that is the point where the kind of like, you know, gay race communists got involved and wanted to change everything because now they see a way to inject their own narcissistic insecurities into a game and make you experience that. John, go ahead. You want to say something? John?
Oh, you know,
You're coming through kind of low.
I think there's a lot.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're breaking up a lot. Are you? What kind of microphone are you using? I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry, John.
It's my
Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't hear you either.
I was gonna bring on my camera. I'm just killing OBS, so no worries.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, you don't have to be on camera, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's evidently Discord's gonna like eat it up. But what I was actually gonna say is, as it applies to the gaming industry specifically, yeah, it was a full-out planned attack basically by the WEF and the United Nations through coordinated efforts, specifically on video games because they are an interactive medium and they are so captivating to the young. And so the idea is you plant seeds to grow trees, right? And so, they're planting woke seeds wherever they can. Ubisoft.
Oh, yeah.
By far,
Absolutely.
Takes so much climate change money. And that's what all this stuff really evolved out of was the ESG move for climate change. And that spun off into the International Game Developers Association. And then that made, which is the largest special interest group in the world. And so they basically use funny math to get a lot of their stuff by, because the IGDA, what they'll do is they do these big surveys globally, and then they'll take the information from a global grouping, and then they'll say you need to apply this locally. And so that's where we get all these weird, stupid, crazy numbers about you have to hire 50% of women and all this kind of stuff. And the only way to do that for people that don't gravitate to those jobs naturally is to platform them and astroturf them into these overseer roles where they can censor as they please.
All right. We're getting more visitors. Okay, look, if you're in here, just don't. If you pop in, I'm not going to kick you out or anything. Just don't speak because like there's a lot of people already here as it is. So, all right. So Mentis, you got like some fans jumping in. I don't know. They're somebody just messaged me saying they're a big fan of yours. It's cool. I don't mind. Like I said, I'm a fan of your content as well. But yeah. So let's try to. I want to get to a couple of things. So first of all, let me show you guys the video I saw, because there's been some Gamergate news, or you could say culture war news, or you could say, I don't know, whatever, right? Whatever the latest thing coming out of the, gay race, communist, Marxist camp is. So I just want to share this video. Share my screen, which is a Twitter thing. So give me a second here. Share it. Share my screen. What is it? Oh, I got to stop watching this AirPlay thing. Sorry, AirPlay. I got to switch. I can't put a new thing on until I close the old thing. So there's been discussion going on again about like, what do we have a right to spend our money on? Now, what's funny is actually like right now, there's another conversation that's been going on, which is, do you even own your games? Because everything is like coming out and it's like, you're not buying games, you're buying licenses. And this is a different problem we could get into, but... Oh, Mentis, do you want to say something to that?
Oh, on that, I mean, I would just
Your
kind of
thing-
go into
your thing
general
lit up,
intellectual
but-
property.
Yeah, for sure. And what is that?
Yeah, I mean, intellectual property rights are already way higher than they should be. I mean, if you actually go into the Austrian school theory and study it extensively, we don't even believe in intellectual property rights because it's this idea that you can own a thought. And there's a lot of arguments for and against that, and overall, I've come to believe that the Austrian school is right, that we actually should just get rid of intellectual property, because there's actually a lot of other ways for people to get funded if they have consistently good ideas and good content, rather than just IP.
Yeah.
Yeah, IP actually just creates this really big problem where someone can sit on something and declare that nobody else can say anything about it. You have these really weird things.
It's like Lord of the Rings, and we just happen to have like 6 different versions of Smog that are, controlling all the media through their various methods. I mean, you can't have a movie come out without rave reviews because the people that put out the movie also have a newspaper, a magazine, a TV, multiple TV networks, all this support to reinforce the lie. So, I mean,
And also it prevents any kind of competition against sort of really bad woke injections, because Marxists love injecting their ideology into media. They love it very, very much.
Yes, they are big fans of it. In fact, it's like their religion. It's like putting scripture in everything.
Right,
for them.
and the thing is, if you get rid of intellectual property, what you can do is you can remake the movie, but get rid of their injections.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And you
well,
can
I've
pretty
been
much
make-
just completely screw them over by then redistributing your version of the movie that doesn't have their crap in it. And then a lot of people will actually prefer that because people don't really care for their preaching. The reason Marxists do that kind of preaching is because they understand that culture is really a big element of psychology. And this is actually a discussion I have with some libertarians as well, because there's some more left-leaning libertarians. By left libertarians, I mean actual libertarians who believe in a free market, not the socialists who are calling themselves libertarian because of positive freedom crap, which I have a whole thing with Vosh where I kind of explained why that's a bunch of nonsense. But no, I mean actual real libertarians. And the main thing that the left libertarians have a problem understanding is that they think that culture doesn't matter. They think all this stuff we're talking about right here is something that shouldn't even be a thing. It doesn't matter. We can just stay in our little echo chambers and talk about Rothbard all day, and one day everyone will just magically become natural law theorists. And the reality is that's not actually how people come to believe things. That's not how human psychology works. And Marxists, they have a lot of things wrong. Their philosophy is completely way off the mark. But Marxists at least understand psychology, especially child psychology. They know that the younger generation will always love kicking back. They love relaxing. And so the younger generations will always love pop culture. And they'll always take what they're fed in the media or through pedagogy in the various academic institutions and whatnot. All you have to do is inject your ideology into that, and your ideology doesn't actually have to be good. It just has to have good optics for the younger generation, and you have to make it
has to
hip
feel
and
good.
cool and trendy. Yeah, it has to give them good feels and be hip and whatnot. And that is how they get their ideology across, because they know that people, the vast majority of people, unfortunately, they come to believe things entirely based on emotion, and that's just a reality of human psychology. They come to believe things if they make them feel good. People come to believe things based on a mentality of what's in it for me. Those of us who just kind of get into that sort of philosophical autism of I want to know what is true and I don't care about anything else.
Yes.
We're actually a rarity. We are a severe rarity.
Oh, for sure.
We're maybe
for sure.
5% of the population at absolute most. The vast majority of people are just interested in what gives them good feels and what they can immediately benefit from. That's how people think, and you kind of have to pander to that, unfortunately, in order to actually get people on your side. Marxists get it. Marxists absolutely get it. That's why they feed this idea that, oh, the reason you don't have stuff is because the evil capitalists are exploiting you. And if you just accept our ideology, we'll give you free stuff. free stuff for everybody. You get a free house. You get a free house. You get free food, free medical assistance, free this, free that, free. And it's stupid. It completely goes against how economics actually works.
Right.
But
well, I mean, economics
it works.
Well, I can tell you a lot about intellectual property law because most of the expenses for my documentary are related to copyright and copyright legal clearances and whatnot.
Okay.
And
let me butt in just for a moment. I want to hear this, but there's just a couple things I just got to point out. Well, some people are in our server asking Mentis that there's an issue with your disco